Hi, everybody, and welcome to tonight's episode of Ask Mary Anything Within Reason. I have a travel day tomorrow, which means I've got a lot of stuff to do. So we're going to keep it a little bit on the short side. So let's get right to your questions. Hold on. I always forget to do this part. There we go. All right. First, from Percival Piano. That's weird. Hold on. Question: how should we respond to people to say these are just politics as usual? Unquote. Wow. Ask them if they're okay. If they've been dropped on their heads recently. I'm trying to be generous. Let me be more generous than that. I mean, I think it's fair to ask them if they're okay. Have they been paying attention? I think what I would do is come up with a handy list of like the top 3 most alarming things we're witnessing right now. You know, is it normal in your view? And then pick 3 for the president of the United States to be threatening institutions of higher learning with destruction if they don't do his bidding. The president of the United States constantly suing media companies that report negative, well, not negative things, actual facts about him that just happen to make him look bad because they're bad. And then having said media companies settle frivolous lawsuits with him, or pick one. I mean, to have the Department of Justice of the United States of America act like it's Donald Trump's defense attorney, defense team, or for the corrupt, illegitimate supermajority of the Supreme Court to act like it works for Donald. I mean, we could go on all day long. Is it normal for the United States to act like Russia is its closest ally and to attack its actual ally? I don't honestly understand how anybody could think these times are politics as usual. The only thing usual about our politics is that the Democrats are acting like it's just politics as usual. And that's alarming. Okay. All right, give me a second. StreamYard has changed its formatting for some reason, so I have to get used to that. Oh, and it changed right back. Anyway, Johnny, question. Would Donald be okay if only the children of undocumented workers can be trafficked or become government property just as long as it's not his supporters' children? He doesn't care whose children it is. I mean, I guess it would be more, what's the word? Photogenic. But no, he doesn't care. I mean, prefer in the sense that it would look better to his base, maybe. But in the sense that he cares, nope. Because he's a monster. Christina, question. Observing his interactions with his cabinet staff and everyone else, would you say Donald is acting out his own family dynamics? It's like he's become his father and his people are the kids. Well, I mean, weirdly, despite the fact that my grandfather was an authoritarian patriarch who, generally speaking, was in charge of everything. He kept his world small. It was his family and his business, and that was intentional. You know, that was by design because he could be completely in control of both of those orbits, right? Weirdly, however, and you know, the other thing about my grandfather, he was a sociopath, but he didn't walk around like angry and grumpy all the time. He was a fairly cheerful person. He whistled a lot. I mean, he wasn't funny, but and he didn't laugh like a normal person. But you know, his life, everything in his life, essentially, with the exception of my dad, went his way. So, and he was in control of everything. What's to be upset about, right? What was weird though is that when Donald became his, I don't know, his heir, his what's the word I'm looking for? I can't think of words. When he chose Donald to become his successor, that's what I'm trying to say. He actually deferred to Donald all the time. It was very weird. So it's not that Donald's becoming like my grandfather, it's that Donald is acting like he's always acted, like he's the most important person in the room. He's always right. He's the best, the most fantastic. Everybody should always listen to him. I mean, this didn't happen until Donald was like in his late teens, you know. But the arrogance was always there. The insecure defensiveness was always there. The bullying was always there. But yeah, there came a time when, yep, like nobody questioned him ever. Everybody deferred to him. So it is exactly like my family dynamic, just as you can imagine, depressing. Electron Creations question. Mary, I know you're a Star Trek, the original series fan, like I am. Would you consider adopting a tribble if you could, or would it be too much trouble? Cindy. Um, uh, well, is there birth control for tribbles? In which case, of course, tribbles are adorable and soothing. Yeah, I would totally adopt a tribble. Again, love ending the sentence on the with the word trouble, by the way. Also, tribbles are come in handy. Okay. Here's a more expansive answer. Is there birth control for them? Because I don't know if you guys know this, but tribbles are born pregnant. It gets a bit to be a bit much, right? They take over. They start eating all the quadrotriticale. It's bad. However, tribbles, who are the most affectionate, they purr constantly if you pet them. I mean, they're like cats, but more docile because they don't really move much. They are like, they have like a built-in alarm system against Romulans. Or is it Klingons? Shit. Romulans. They just instinctively hate Romulans. If you can get me some tribbles that can do that with Republicans and fascists, I'm getting an army of tribbles. What's that? That's a movie. All right. Motley Pizer. Comment. Hi. All the orange devil was caught on camera. Hi, all. Sorry. Hi, all. The orange devil was caught on camera cheating on the golf course in Scotland today. Oh, that's so weird. That's like only the 5 billionth time that's happened. He's such a pathetic. I mean, my favorite, because, that guy does get caught on camera quite frequently. What also gets caught on camera is his pretending that he wasn't cheating. Like, he'll have a putt that's like 3 feet away from the cup, and he'll literally just slide it. Like, he'll slide it in with his foot, or he'll slide it in with his putter, and then act like, he hit this amazing putt. He's just so pathetic. It's just, I mean, if there were any reason to feel sorry for him, and there are none because he's a horrible, horrible human being who's, destroying the planet, it would be that. Imagine spending 70 years literally 70 years trying to get good at something and sucking at it. Jesus. That's wow. You would think that somebody who only exists if he's in front of a camera would remember that cameras exist. Okay, Windsor Veterinary and Dental Services. Donald famously doesn't like to read anything. Question: does he have some disability such as dyslexia? Obviously, I don't know. That will require diagnosing him, which, as far as I'm aware, nobody has ever done. But I've actually long suspected he has some kind of undiagnosed learning disorder. But I don't know. I mean, another thing to be very honest about is that I grew up in an anti-intellectual family. These are people who valued nothing that most people value. Literature, art of any kind. Like, no, they never went to museums or Broadway shows or libraries, or like my grandmother read Danielle Steele, but that was about it. The only thing I ever saw my grandfather read were the 3 major metropolitan New York papers, the New York Times, the Daily News, and the Long Island Press, which I don't think exists anymore. And then he started reading the New York Post when Donald became a regular feature of the not the Washington Post. What am I kidding? The New York Post. That's it. I never saw him read anything but, obviously work stuff and newspapers. So it could just be that. Or, I mean, I suspect that Donald has some kind of processing issues, but no way to know for sure. Ron, question. Do you think Donald is jealous of Obama? Let's see. Barack Obama went to Harvard. He's a constitutional lawyer. He was president of the Harvard Law Review. He won 2 terms for the presidency in succession. He's extremely fit. I think objectively, I don't know about these things, but I think objectively you could say he's a quite attractive man. He's extremely popular. He's very intelligent. He's funny. He's, at least as far as I'm aware, married to a woman who is his equal and who seem genuinely to love each other. He has 2 children who seem genuinely to love their parents and to be really good kids. He's won, whether or not he should have, is besides the point. He won a Nobel Peace Prize. So is Donald jealous of this person who is better than him by every single metric? I don't think Donald actually ever thinks about Barack Obama, actually. I'm just kidding. Yeah, Barack Obama is one of those people who lives rent-free in Donald's head. He hates him and would do anything. Remember, they are literally making up this insane story that Barack Obama committed treason by trying to rig the 2016 election. These people are insane and dangerous. Donald is his jealousy of Barack Obama is so intense that it just eats him alive, which honestly, just as a human being with empathy, I have to say it's fantastic. I love it. Because I don't have any empathy for Donald Trump. Kathleen, question. How sick do you think Donald actually is? Well, Trumple Thinskin, which is funny. Also known as Donald actually is. I don't know. I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not a neurologist or a neuropsychologist. So all I could say is somebody who does have a degree in clinical psychology, who is a fairly observant human being. He's clearly on a long, slow slide, and it seems to be accelerating. He doesn't look good. And he often seems not to be oriented to time and place. He often doesn't know who he's talking about or to. He seems, let's coin a phrase here, very low energy, and another one, sleepy. So I don't know if you guys saw the pictures of his extremely swollen ankles. That, as far as I'm aware, is not a good sign. So, according to things I've heard from people who know much better than I, there is something going on, and the White House press secretary even admitted that he has some condition. Of course, they said it was benign and mild, but why should we believe them? They lie about everything. So I think there's serious cognitive decline, because remember, his father had Alzheimer's for the last 15 years of his life. At least, probably more like 20. And Donald's older than my grandfather was when my grandfather was diagnosed, I believe. And he's very, very unhealthy in general. Like, his lifestyle is extraordinarily unhealthy. And why wouldn't it all start catching up with him? I imagine we'll find out more about that in the not too distant future. Okay. Philip, question. Mary, have you seen the Sesame Street? Sorry, the Sesame. Why can't I talk? Perhaps I need to hydrate. No, sorry. Question. Mary, have you seen the Sesame Street clips from the late 90s that satirized your uncle calling him Ronald Grump? Sorry. The clip I saw had him scabbing Oscar the Grouch. Please tell me that's real. Please tell me that's real. Oh my God. I have not seen it. And guess what I'm going to do right after this show? Sesame Street. No wonder you got your funding pulled. Telling you, I learned about sarcasm and subversive humor from Sesame Street. Totally. And maybe the Electric Company, but I don't remember the Electric Company as well. I don't know why. I don't remember it as well as I remember Sesame Street. Oh, and the Muppets, of course. That too. Which are Sesame Street, but they also had a separate show, which was a little bit more sarcastic and subversive than Sesame Street, understandably. Jenna, let's go, Mets. Question. Do you have any psychological insight into the windmills and whales ramblings? It makes me feel like my brain is broken to listen to. The only thing I can think, and this is pure speculation on my part, like I don't think it's like a separate diagnostic category, but it might be Donald has this way. It's actually kind of a lizard brain skill of understanding almost intuitively what works with people. So I don't remember this, but it was sort of towards the beginning of COVID, and he had a rally, which was ill-advised, and he said something that was supportive of vaccines, and the whole crowd booed. And he never said it again. So he maybe said something about windmills and, just sort of natural energy sources in general and attacking them, right? Which got a good response from his insane base that thinks that the wave of the future is to pollute the planet with more fossil fuels and kill all of us. And maybe, he knows that people like, well, I mean, that part I don't know, but it has to be like he conflated these two things somehow because it's insane. I think sometimes we have to try not to make too much sense we have to try not to make sense of things because they're just nonsensical. And the reality is that that's the most important thing, not what he says, but that it's insane, that it's evidence of serious cognitive impairment, and that it's a sign of his serious cognitive decline. Let's not do him, and a lot of media do that. He gives this rambling, insane speech that is incoherent from beginning to end, and you get articles about it, just pick and choose and fill in the blanks. So suddenly it looks like he gave a relatively coherent speech when that's not at all what happened. Basically, what they do is they translate his illiterate, incoherent ramblings into English, which does the rest of us a disservice, quite frankly. Ciclina, question. Why does dictator Donald not take responsibility for his actions? Because that's a sign of weakness, right? And what else is it? Or most obviously, most immediately, it's a sign of, it's admitting you're wrong, right? If you did something, typically taking responsibility for your actions, you don't take nobody. Well, I mean, some people do, but typically what we mean by that is that somebody did something wrong and they take responsibility for their wrong actions. We don't say that when somebody did something right? If they take responsibility for their right actions, they're bragging. So anyway, So taking responsibility, or inherent in that, is that you were wrong, and admitting you're wrong. He's incapable of doing that because being wrong makes you fallible, and admitting you're wrong makes you weak. Now, that is not, neither of those things is true. We used to live in a world where it was the adult responsible thing to do to admit when you were wrong and correct it somehow, apologize, make it right. That's not the world we live in anymore. It's just do the wrong thing, deny you did the wrong thing, or worse, say it was the right thing to do and fuck you. And then just keep lying about it and keep doing wrong things. And that somehow makes you strong and manly. Yikes. Donna, thank you so very much, Donna. Question. Hi, Mary. Is it just me, or is everyone else enjoying Scotland's hospitality for Donald? It's been a hoot, and I've needed a good laugh. Have not had one in a while. Yes, I'm enjoying it. And hopefully it's an object lesson for those of us here. Just be unrelenting in our mockery and never stop showing up to mock him. And it's fun. Like the Scots, they're having a blast. And also, I just love how much they hate him. It's very fun for me because, that's his mother's homeland. And also, I love Scotland, and I don't want Scotland to like him. I want Scotland to reject him utterly, which they do. Spencer, thank you so very much, Spencer. That's great. Hey, Mary, I've been to Scotland many times and know numerous Scottish people. I find them to be very kind, warm, and welcoming people. Question. Can you think of a reason why Donald isn't enjoying the same? Isn't that weird? Yeah. Huh. The other thing about Scottish people um, that I love, they don't pull punches, and they're very straightforward, and they don't put up with any bullshit, and they don't feel the need to kowtow to anybody. So they don't like liars and grifters and hypocrites, and it just or convicted felons. So it just so happens one person who is all of those things is visiting their country, and they are having none of it. So yeah, I'm with you. I think if I were ever going to move anywhere in the UK, it would be somewhere in Scotland. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love all of the UK, but Scotland is special to me. So maybe. Maya Cheryl, as always, thank you so much. That's one Mary Trump Media membership gifted. Excellent. Smokey Joe, question. Do you think the Democrats will push harder for the Epstein files? I'm telling you, if the Democrats ever shut up about the Epstein files, that will be a problem. They should never, ever, ever stop pushing hard for the Epstein files. Every single day, that's what they should be talking about incessantly. Christopher, thank you very much, Christopher. Really appreciate it. Question. Mary, do you think the focus on the Epstein files will finally be the catalyst for the MAGA movement ending over a period of time? Maybe in the long term, but not in the short term. I think in the short term, it weakens Donald considerably, and it reveals the truth about him to people who maybe haven't been enough. Because you're like, wait, the truth about him, we all know the truth. Yeah, we all do, but a lot of people don't. And this goes right to the heart of his base. So, like, we never believed what Donald had to say about the Epstein files, but they did. So I think that will definitely have a relatively deleterious impact on him in the short to medium term. I mean, I can't say for sure that it will knock him out of the presidency because, like, even if it implicates him, nobody's going to indict him. And that wouldn't happen until after his term's over anyway. And it might hasten, like, I don't know, would it push him to resign? Why? He's gotten away with everything and he's protected. So I don't know, but let's say we're just like game this out quickly. Theoretically, if he, for whatever reason, it did kind of end his reign of power, J.D. Vance becomes president, and we need to remember this is really important. I'm not saying this shouldn't all play out, because of course it should. What I'm saying is Donald Trump isn't the problem anymore. That's what I'm saying. And we need to be very, very clear-eyed about that. Blanche Fury, question. Mary, can we politely ask Scotland to keep him? We can, and they will probably not very politely say, no fucking way. That was not really a Scot. I don't know what that was, but anyway. No, they will not keep him, but we could ask. Who would keep him? Russia? North Korea. Let's make it North Korea. Siberia is nice this time of year. The Hague. All right, Lizzie Beth. Thank you so very much, Lizzie Beth. Question. Glad to accept. Yes, no, don't remember, rather not say. You said you were at Donald's second wedding. Folks say Epstein was there. Did you eyeball him even from a distance? Thanks. Well, actually, yes, we were both there. I'm sure I had no idea who he was. I think it's highly unlikely I would have met him. I sincerely hope I didn't, because that would make me sick to my stomach. And people have asked me the same question about Roy Cohn, because Roy Cohn was at Donald's first wedding, as was I. I'm sure I was at a fair number of things at the same time as Roy Cohn, but there's literally, like, nobody would think to have introduced me to either one of them. When Cohn was around, I was a pretty young kid. And no, why would anybody introduce me and Jeffrey Epstein? But again, I didn't know who he was. So all I can say is that he and I were in the same room, and that's bad enough. I'm horrified I was ever in the same room with Donald. Judith, thank you so very much, Judith. Ghostly F59, thank you, as always. Question. Hi, Mary. If you could relive one deeply personal day or experience from your past, something you've not shared in books or interviews, what would it be, and why does it stay? Wow, why does it stay with you? Okay, now there are many, many, many things. Oh, actually, this might have been in one of my books. Would that be cheating? It probably would be. That's a very hard question, because luckily, there's more than one thing. So that's a good thing that I have an abundance of things from which to choose. And also, though, I'm having a hard time thinking of what was or was not in my books. So that's complicating this. You know what? I'm going to pick something that is absolutely true. It's very simple. But it's also it was one of the best experiences I ever had in my life. It was the first time I heard my daughter laugh. It remains the best sound in the universe, her laugh. So, yeah. But thank you for asking. It's a lovely question. All right, Skylar. Everybody's been complaining the Democrats aren't putting up a proper fight. They just do performative stuff like record-breaking speeches, and so that makes a difference. Go and do town halls. Yes! They were doing that for a while. They were going into Republican-held districts to do town halls because Republicans were refusing to do them. So, yes. Yes, please. Keep doing that, Democrats. Also, they could be doing... They could be holding shadow hearings, They could... Do they count for it? No. Did they get information out? Yes. Will they get covered by the media? Yes. You think people think it's a stunt? Well, too bad. We need attention on this stuff. Douglas, question. To get Donald into University of Pennsylvania, how much did Fred donate to the university? Did he graduate? Did Fred pay people to do his coursework? Okay. The full story about that is in my first book, Too Much and Never Enough, How My Family Created the World's Most Dangerous Man. Here's the short version. Donald was a bad student. When he graduated from the military academy, which was basically a reform school for rich people, He couldn't get in to any school, so he, like, in the last minute, asked my Aunt Marianne to take him around to try to get him to local colleges, and he got into Fordham University, which he found humiliating. He lived at home. She did all of his homework. So his grades were okay, but he didn't know anything. So he paid somebody to take his SATs for him so he could have good scores. In addition to those two ways of cheating, my one of my dad's fraternity brothers worked in the University of Pennsylvania's admissions office. So my dad asked him to do him a solid and help get his little brother Donald into the University of Pennsylvania. My grandfather would not put his hand in his pocket for anything really, until he realized he needed Donald in his real estate business. But no, my grandfather wasn't going to pay or donate anything to any university for any reason, but he wouldn't have needed to anyway because my aunt did his college homework at Fordham, so his grades were good. He paid somebody to take his SATs, and my dad got his buddy in the admissions office to help get Donald in. Ta-da! It's disgusting. Susan, thank you as always. Gifted 5 marriage media memberships. That's awesome. Brant, thank you very much. Question: what cologne Donald and Grandpa used? I don't know, but it's not. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know that I should know that. I mean, not that it's a bad thing to know, but I mean, I don't recall that it was overwhelming or obnoxious, but I have no idea. And luckily, or at least hopefully, I will never be close enough to Donald to be able to suss that out. Susan, member for 1 month, welcome and thank you. Comment: if only Donald would not be allowed back in the United States. Yeah, I'm actually surprised he's allowed in Scotland because many countries do not allow convicted felons from other countries to visit them. Flipping the script. Thank you very much. Comment: the disability is narcissistic personality disorder. Yeah, that's one of the many. That is for sure. So much comorbidity in one man. Denisa, thank you very, very much. Comment: I don't have a question today. I'm just listening. Fee. That's very kind. Much appreciated. In the middle of nowhere, thank you so much as always. What is the name of the Star Trek episode where the people are half black and half white? I don't remember. Let me think. Let's see if I can figure that out. Just for those who don't know, there's a Star Trek episode. It's a little bit on the nose, quite frankly, but to the casual observer, everybody looks the same because half their face is white and half their face is black. However, half the planet, or I don't know, part of the population, it's the left side of their face that's black and the right side of their face that's white. And the other part of the population, it's the opposite. And they hate each other and they're enemies. If only I could remember the name of the episode. If it comes to me, oh, man, I'm really bad at remembering names of episodes, which is unfortunate. Thank you again in the middle of nowhere. Oh, what did I just do? Sorry. Sabersaki, thank you very much. Question: how many members of the grotesque cabinet do you think will last? Of course, I don't think Donald will. All of them? I mean, they're doing exactly what they were tasked to do, which is destroy the very departments they were chosen to lead. So why would they leave? Hold on 1 second. Sorry, guys. That Star Trek episode, and yes, I just grabbed it out of thin air, was "Let that be your last battlefield." Sometimes things just come to me. Sorry, I need to take another drink. Oh, shoot. Oh, shoot. I'm sorry. I just deleted something I wasn't supposed to delete. I apologize. There was somebody I wanted to thank, and I can't now. So sorry. All right. Susan, thank you very, very much. Question: do you think it will be a long time for this country to heal when Donald is out of office? Generations. And I hate saying that, but it's true. So, the more prepared we are to do really hard work as soon as possible, the more we can accomplish. Dodie, thank you very much as always. Comment: hi, Mary. No questions, just commiseration and treats from Zach. Zach, thank you, buddy. And thank you for the commiseration. So, thank you very much as always. Comment: Federation Generation Appreciation donation. Oh, that's a beautiful bit of poetry. Thank you. Or rhyming, really. Jeff and SCAY, that is awesome. Thank you so much. Comment: longtime viewer, first time donor. Love what you're doing. Thank you. Well, thank you, Jeff. We really, really appreciate it. Just clean up my mess here. Sorry, I just kind of lost track of things for a bit. I don't know what's wrong with me tonight. I'm very sorry. Just, it's one of those days. Zelda, wow, thank you so very much for that. Question: Mary, do you think America will still be alive and standing in 3.5 years? Because right now it feels like everything's being broken. Humanity and good manners don't exist. Will this ever end? It will end. It will end. I think what happens the next 3.5 years is going to, in part and perhaps largely, determined by two things: what our allies do and what the Democrats, if the Democrats win in 2020. Well, three things: what our allies do, whether or not the Democrats win in 2026, and if the Democrats win big enough to do something, they actually do it. So I am hopeful, but our jobs are going to be to hold Democrats' feet to the fire, quite frankly. Library Adjuster Cafe member for 2 months. Thank you very much and welcome. Comment: Trumpstein is the least humorous Scottish person. He has no humor. So yeah, that is true. He's the least humorous person. Yeah. I mean, I guess he does have his humor is completely based on being cruel to people, and it's not really that funny. Greg, thanks so very much. It's a triple kibble fee. The rhyming skills of you all. Super Pup. Awesome. And the comment. Thank you, Mercedes. I'm not sure. Hopefully that's just for in general. Because yes, thank you, Mercedes. And Christian Huss. Thank you very much. Excellent. Question: in Europe, such type of a liar would never get the highest office. How is it possible in the US? Because our system is so deeply, deeply, deeply broken. It favors a party that was susceptible to authoritarianism and fascism. And nobody has done anything about it. And we're all paying that price. So that is why. Okay, guys, thank you so much for being here. To everybody watching on YouTube, to everybody streaming on Twitter and over at my Substack, The Good in Us. I think I have some insight into what's going on. I forgot to turn the air on in this room, and it's a little toasty, and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, which again, not the wisest choice. So, and I probably haven't been drinking enough water throughout the show. Oops. So, apologies if I've been a little bit off my game. So I also want to thank everybody who gave a gift tonight of a membership, everybody who joined as a member, to all of our super stickers, everybody who donated. Seriously, you guys keep our lights on. You help us grow, which is very, very important, especially in this climate. To our amazing moderators, to my incredible team. And tonight, the woman running the show is Lexi. So thanks, Lex, for everything. So appreciate your work on a Sunday night. I just really quickly, it's travel week for me. It shouldn't affect us too much, but I will keep you posted as I go. And I just want to remind everybody the easiest way to support us is to subscribe to our channel, which is free. We're over 445,000 subscribers now. We want to make a push to get to 500,000 as soon as we possibly can. So another really good way to support us is to watch our pre-recorded videos, which drop every single day, including weekends. Watch them, like them, share them, comment on them. It really helps us with the algorithm to have as much engagement as humanly possible. And again, travel week, but I will be back for Mary Trump Live tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Eastern. I apologize if I didn't get to your questions tonight, or if I did not appropriately show my gratitude, but I hope it's implied. And I will not mess up next time. Promise. Well, I can't promise that. I'm a fallible human who admits to taking responsibility for her mistakes. Look at me. I don't think it's a sign of weakness. All right, guys. I will see you tomorrow night. In the meantime, please, everybody, turn on your air conditioner if you need to. Stay safe and be kind. Bye.